Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dayna from This Pixie Creates, and in this video we are going to make the stained glass pot holder, which is the third pot holder for our Pot Holders Galore Crochet-a-long. I hope you guys are excited. This is another double thick pot holder that uses the double crochet stitch and front post triple crochet stitch. Everything that you need is linked in the description box below. Let's gather our supplies and get started. For round one, we're going to start by making a slip knot, place it on your hook, and tighten it up. Now chain 32. 1, 2. For round one, we're going to start in the third chain from the hook. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3. Into this chain right here, we're going to make a double crochet. So yarn over, and when we're working into the chain, we're going to insert our hook between this top and bottom loop. So into that center, we're going to go underneath that top loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. So that's a double crochet, and we're going to repeat that all the way across. So into every chain, remember just going under that top loop, we're going to make a double crochet, under the top loop, double crochet, under the top loop, double crochet. We're going to repeat that all the way across until we get to that last chain of the row. In the last chain, we're going to make 2 double crochets. And this is going to be our corner. Now we're going to rotate our work so that we're working along the bottom of the chain. And since we just worked into this chain, we're going to skip it and we're going to go into this next chain. So in here, underneath this bottom loop, we're going to make a double crochet. Into the next chain, going underneath that bottom loop, we're going to make a double crochet. And we're going to do this all the way across. In every chain, we're going to go underneath that bottom loop and make a double crochet. We have one last chain to work into, which is right here. So we're going to make our final double crochet stitch of the round, and I want you guys to mark this stitch with a stitch marker because this is going to be the first stitch of round 2. At this point, we're going to close the round, so we're going to remove our stitch marker from the first stitch of round 1. Insert our hook into both loops of that stitch and drop our current color. With your new color, color B, we're going to loop it over our finger and our hook and pull it through the stitch and the loop on our hook. And that makes a slip stitch, and we've invisibly changed color. So at this point, what we're going to do is pull on the tail of our new color and the tail of our old color, and just kind of pull that nice and tight so that it closes the stitch. And we're going to mark this stitch with our stitch marker because this is going to be the last stitch of round 2. Turn your work to start round 2, chain 2. And before we make our first stitch, we're going to make sure that our old color, color A, is hanging from the back of our work. So we're going to move it behind, and we're going to start our first stitch of the round into the last stitch of round 1, which is marked with our stitch marker. So remove the stitch marker and insert your hook into that stitch going underneath the front and back loop, and we're going to make a double crochet. Now mark this stitch with your stitch marker, and from here on out we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch around. So by the end of round 2 we should have a total of 60 double crochets. Okay guys, we're at our last stitch, and this is what round 2 is starting to look like. As you guys can see, it's starting to curl upwards, which is exactly what we want because it will start to fold up and make a nice long pouch and double-sided pot holder. So we've arrived at our stitch marker, which marks the last stitch. So we're going to remove it, and we're going to make our final double crochet of round 2. Then mark it with our stitch marker. At this point, we're going to join the round and change color. So we're going to make a slip stitch into this first stitch of the round. So remove your stitch marker, insert your hook under both the front and back loops, and drop your current color. Pick up your old color, color A, and loop it over your hook to pull it through the stitch and the loop on your hook. To tighten up that slip stitch, pull on the old yarn tail, and we're going to remark this stitch with our stitch marker because this is going to be the last stitch of round 3. To start round 3, turn your work, and we're going to place the old color, color B, to the back of our work so that it hangs back there for future rounds. With your new color, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to make our first stitch into the last stitch from round 2. So the stitch marked with your stitch marker. Remove it. We're going to make a double crochet into that stitch. Remark it with your stitch marker. And we're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2. So we have a total of 3 double crochets so far. Now this round is the trickiest round because it's the one that gets everything started. Once you get this round, every other round should be pretty much smooth sailing. So what we're going to do is into the next stitch, so this 4th stitch right here, we're actually going to go 2 rounds below. So not working into this stitch, but working into this one right here. So from round 1. What I like to do to make sure that I'm working into the correct stitch is I count 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. We're going to make a front post triple crochet around this stitch. So yarn over twice. We're going to insert our hook going underneath the post of this stitch so that this stitch is on top of our hook. Now we're going to yarn over, pull that yarn underneath that stitch, and pull it up. So at this point we have 4 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over, pull through just the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. and that's a front post triple crochet. So you guys want to make sure that you're not crocheting this stitch too tight, or else your work is going to kind of curl in on itself. And so try to give yourself a bit of a looser tension with these stitches. Okay, you'll notice that we left this stitch unworked, so we're never going to work into it. We're going to skip over that stitch and go into the next stitch. So into this double crochet, we're going to make a double crochet, and we're going to work a double crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 2, 3, and 4. So we should have a total of 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're going to try our next front post triple crochet. So I'm going to show you guys this one more time. So I'm just going to count from the last one that we worked. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right, so that lines up. Then going into that next stitch, which is right here, we're going to yarn over twice, insert our hook underneath this stitch so that it's sitting on top of our hook, yarn over, pull the yarn underneath that stitch, and draw up a loop. So we have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, so we have 3 loops remaining, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, so we have 2 loops remaining, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. And again, guys, that's that front post triple crochet. We're gonna skip that unworked stitch. We're gonna skip it entirely. Going into the next stitch, we're gonna make 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to count 5 from our last front post triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to work into the next stitch. So into this stitch, we're going to make our front post triple. We're going to skip the unworked stitch, and we're going to make 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Count 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into that next stitch, front post triple crochet. Okay, we're going around our corner here, so working 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we've effectively worked around our corner and now into that next stitch. So we're going to count 5 here. So this was our front post triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. So into this 6th stitch, we're going to make a front post triple crochet. Alright, and we're going to repeat this all the way around. So guys, you know that you've done this correctly if your front post triples going along this side, they almost line up with the front post triple from the top here, but the only difference is that they're going to be 1 stitch over. So this one should be right here, the next one should be right here, the next one should be right here, and so on. Okay guys, we're at the end of round 3. We've just made our 10th front post triple crochet. And at this point, we have 2 stitches remaining. So what we're going to do is make 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So in that last stitch, you're going to remove your stitch marker and make your final double crochet. And we'll remark it with our stitch marker. If you remember from the beginning of round 3, we actually started the round with 3 double crochets and we end it with 2 double crochets, which works out perfectly because that's a total of 5 stitches, just like how there's always 5 stitches between each front post triple crochet. We're going to join the round and change color. So always going into that first stitch of the round that's marked with our stitch marker, I'm going to remove it, insert our hook into that stitch and drop your current color, color A. Pick up your new color, color C, and loop it over your finger. Pick it up with your hook and pull it through the stitch and the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch. We're going to mark this stitch with our stitch marker because this will be the first stitch of round 4. And we're going to pull it tight by pulling on our tails and our new color to close that slip stitch. To start round 4, we're going to turn our work, and before we start, we're just going to make sure that color A, so our previous color for round 3, is moved to the back of our work because we're going to need it for future rounds. And we're going to chain 2 to start. We are going to start round 4 in the last stitch of round 3, which is marked with our stitch marker. So remove it, and we're going to make a double crochet into that stitch. Now remark it with your stitch marker. And we're going to make a double crochet in each stitch around, just like in round 2. We're at the end of round 4, and this is the last stitch of the round. So we're going to remove our stitch marker, and we're going to make our final double crochet of the round. Mark it with our stitch marker. So we're going to join our round with a slip stitch. So going into that first stitch of the round, we're going to remove our stitch marker, insert our hook under both loops, and drop our current color. Then we're going to pick up color A and loop it over our hook. Pull it through the stitch and the loop on our hook to complete that slip stitch. And we're going to pull the old color tight to close that slip stitch. Mark this stitch with your stitch marker because this is going to be the first stitch of round 5. Okay. Turn your work to start round 5 and pull on that new color to tighten up your slip stitch. Place your old color, color C, to the back of your work and chain 2 with your new color. We're going to start in the last stitch of round 4, so remove your stitch marker, and we're going to make a double crochet. Remark it with your stitch marker, and we're going to make 2 more double crochets. So 1 double crochet in the next stitch, followed by a second double crochet in the next stitch. So we should have a total of 3 double crochets, just like in round 3. And round 5 is done very similarly to round 3, but because we've already set round 3 up, it's our foundation round, we're not going to have to do any counting. So we already know where our front post triple crochets go because we have them from round 3. So all of our front post triple crochets are going to be worked around a front post triple crochet from round 3. Okay, so yarn over twice, insert your hook behind the post of the front post triple crochet so that the stitch is on top of your hook, yarn over, and draw up a loop. So you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. And that's our front post triple crochet. So just like in round 3, we're going to skip the stitch behind that front post triple crochet, and we're going to go into the next stitch. We're going to make 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Into that next stitch, the 6th stitch, we're going to go 2 rounds below, and we're going to make a front post triple crochet around that front post triple crochet from round 3. We're going to leave the stitch behind this front post triple crochet unworked, so skip over it, and going into the next stitch, we're going to make 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. So front post triple crochet into that next stitch, 2 rounds below. So this is what round 5 should be looking like. And I'll meet you guys back here at the end. Okay guys, so we're at the end of round 5 and we have 2 stitches remaining. So just like in round 3, we're going to complete this round by making 1 double crochet in the last 2 stitches. And remember to remark this last stitch with a stitch marker. To join the round, we're going to make a slip stitch into this first stitch of the round, and we're going to change color. So insert your hook under the front and back loops and drop your current color. Pick up your new color and loop it over your finger. Loop it over your hook and pull it through that stitch and the loop on your hook to complete the slip stitch. Now mark this stitch with a stitch marker and pull the stitch tight by pulling on the tail Okay guys, we're at the end of round 17 and this is what it should be looking like. So at this point, we've just finished our last double crochet of the round. So we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch of the round to make a slip stitch. And this time we're not going to change color. So we're just going to insert our hook, yarn over with our current color, and make a slip stitch. At this point, it's time to close the round and add a chain circle. So the first thing that we're going to do is just make sure that the right side of our work is facing us. So the right side is when we can see those front post triple crochets. If you can't see them, so for instance, inside here, if you can't see them and this is the side that's facing you, flip your work inside out and then we're going to close the pot holder. To close the pot holder, we're going to line up our stitches. We're going to insert our hook under the front stitch going underneath the front and back loop. We're also going to go into the matching back stitch and we're going to yarn over and make a slip stitch. And we're going to do this all the way across, working a slip stitch under both the front and back stitches. So this is what it should be looking like right now. As you guys can see, it goes through both stitches and joins them together. So keep going all the way across. So we've arrived at our last stitch. So what we're gonna do is make sure we go under both the front and back stitch, make a slip stitch, and at this point we're gonna add a chain circle. So we're gonna chain 13. Okay, now that we have our chain 13, we're gonna go into the first chain under both of these loops, and we're gonna make a slip stitch to close that chain circle. Now fasten off by yarning over and just pulling through the loop on your hook. Keep pulling to make a nice long tail, trim it if you have to, and then thread a needle with your tail and insert your needle under some loops and bring it out the front. Pull that tail through, and that closes the chain circle and makes it look seamless. Now at this point you guys can make a knot, weave it through a few more times, and trim your tail, and you're all set with your stained glass pot holder. I really hope that you guys enjoy this pattern. Please let me know in the comments down below how your pot holders turned out, and if you'd like to share a picture, you're welcome to do that in the Facebook Crochet-a-long group. I'll have it linked in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.